Hi guys, today's video is going to be a little different because it's not as rehearsed. I don't really have notes for today's video, but I wanted to answer a very important question that I get a lot, that I see a lot, and this really about how come you want to move to Mexico when so many Mexicans want to move to the US. In the same way, you can ask, how come you want to move to Côte d'Ivoire? How come you want to move to Morocco when so many Moroccans, so many Ivorians, so many South Africans want to come to the US? And it's a complicated question and that cannot really be answered in a very, very simple way. So I did an interview with another YouTuber. I'm going to link that video in the description, where I shared my experience and my reasons, some of the reasons why my family and I are planning to move back to the motherland. And the thing is that my husband and I are originally from Africa, okay? I'm a naturalized American. I was born and raised on the continent. I was born and raised in Morocco, so not in sub-Saharan Africa. And now I want to live in sub-Saharan Africa, right? My husband grew up in sub-Saharan Africa. And so why is it that we were the quote-unquote lucky ones to leave Africa, and now we want to go back to where we come from, right? And this is a question that is not that easy to answer. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I got it. I have a good way to explain the reasons why so many people want to move to, let's say, even the so-called most dangerous country in the world, or in South America, of is it Uruguay? So many people want to move there when so many people want to leave. Okay, how come? And the easiest way or simplest way to answer this question is by looking at the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, we're all familiar with that hierarchy of Maslow, where you have different levels, 5 different levels of human needs. The bottom level, let me look at my computer here, is this physiological needs. So shelter, food, water, these are the basic human needs. After that is safety needs. So before safety, you need to be able to cover those basic needs and you move up, okay? So the basic physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Safety needs are personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Next level is love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. Fourth level is esteem, self-esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And the fifth level is self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be. And when you think about that and you look at the reasons why some people would leave emerging economies, and the reasons why people would leave economically developed countries, the needs are different. The reasons are different, okay? So that also means that in every country, it doesn't matter what country you go to, there are different classes, there are different economies. There are people who are doing really well and people who are doing medium, I guess, middle class, and then people who are doing not so well. Every country in the world, okay? It's the case here in the US. We have a lot of homeless people. We have a lot of, we have a lot of poverty here in the US. A lot of water issues as well, access to clean water. Yes, here in the US. And so there are different levels, okay? So the reasons why a lot of people want to come to the US a lot of times is because of the lower levels of needs. So whether you are, let's say, leaving a situation of crisis, maybe you're escaping gang violence, maybe you're escaping war, maybe you're escaping lack of access to food or things like that. Those are basic needs, okay? Basic, and then safety, second level, right? But when you look at the West and when you look at the US, the people who want to leave the US are not leaving because they don't have those basic needs unfulfilled. They're living because they are at that level of maybe it's esteem, more than likely it's esteem and self-actualization. All the other levels have already been fulfilled. So when you look at people moving to, let's say, Bali or Mexico or South Africa or anything like that, they're not leaving because they don't have access to property here in the US, or because they don't have friendship or family or all that. It's because they've reached all these levels and now they can afford to ask for self-actualization. Does that make sense? In the other hand, a lot of people who want to come here, it's because of a lower level of need. Not always, I can't generalize, but it's often the case. One of the reasons why I came to the US, it was to pursue education. So I came here for grad school. It wasn't for basic needs. It wasn't for psychological needs. It wasn't for safety. I came from a pretty safe environment, right? But it was more for studying, continue my education, okay? And indirectly tied to that is economics. So access to certain jobs, because I was a foreigner in Morocco, and that's a conversation for another day, but I knew that I wouldn't get access to certain jobs. Let's just put it that way, okay? So economic opportunities was the main reason why I came here, okay? So it's not at the basic level that somebody like a refugee would leave their home country and even think that, to feed their family, maybe because they don't have, maybe because they don't feel safe, whatever the reason, and they will rather attempt to cross the Mediterranean Sea with their children and risk their lives and their family's life and think that this is better than staying home. Okay? I'm not in a position to judge somebody who would make such a drastic decision. I personally think that to make such a decision, you have to be in an extreme sense of desperation. Extreme sense of desperation. As a mom, for me to know the risk and to take my child to cross a desert or to cross a sea, I have to be in an extreme level of despair. Okay? So this is how you would, and some people, I mean, the risk is, the risk is there, right? What some people would get on boat to go to Brazil and trying to reach Canada. Like they would go that way and trying to make their way all the way up north. Like there's so many routes all around the world, right? And so the reasons why somebody would leave the continent and are different from the reason why somebody would go to the continent. Very, very different. People who leave the US in general can not only afford it financially, or they can make it possible financially because they have already secured those levels, those basic needs, and more than basics, right? So they can afford to think about self-actualization. But somebody who's not even at the basic needs, they can't. Self-actualization for what? That's just foreign, right? It's just because I want to have a better way of life. Yes, but it means different things to different people. For some people, it means just I want my kids to be able to be safe. I want to be, in a secure environment. I want to have a shelter over my head that doesn't leak when it's raining. And for some other people, having a better way of life is working from anywhere in the world, bringing my laptop anywhere in the world, not having a boss, right? So it's different perceptions of what we really want, what we need, and what we can have, and what we are pursuing. Okay? So I don't know if I really answered the question. It's, like I said, it's a little complex. But this was the best way that I thought of using Maslow's hierarchy of needs to answer that question. Why would somebody want to go to Mexico when so many South Americans want to come to the US? It's not the same needs. You're not pursuing the same thing. And the things that they're pursuing, they can find it here in the US. The things that an American might be pursuing, they'll find it somewhere else. Okay? So it's a pursuit of different things. So it's not as black and white as, oh, I left Africa and now I want to go back to Africa. Why? You know, I'm not going back for the same reasons as the reasons I came. Different purpose, different reasons, different environment, all that. Okay, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? It's very complex, and I really want to hear what you think about that. If somebody, even a family member, is like, why would you want to go back to Africa? Like, we've made it out, right? Why would you want to go back? Or if somebody's like, why would you want to go to Asia? There's everything here, you know? I had people here tell me, they were Texans, like born and raised Texans. And I mean, Texans are a different kind of Americans, I have to say, right? Very proud and everything. I love it. And so they're like, why would I want to go to Paris, France? This is Paris, Texas. And I was like, really? I mean, when you have everything, you don't always need to look outside, is one. So in that case of somebody who has everything here, they don't need to go outside and they're very content with what they have. And in another case, when you have everything, this is when you start thinking about self-actualization and think more about what would make me happy? What would make me feel good, or, you know, be the best that I can be, right? Somebody who doesn't have the basics doesn't think about, how can I be the best self, the best version of myself? You know, all that woo-woo talk that we hear online. So like Tony Robbins' message wouldn't land very well on refugee who's trying to escape war. That's what I'm trying to say. But for somebody who has everything, that's what they want to hear. How can I be better? How can I, you know, have a better life and be the best version of myself? That's what I was trying to say, right? And that's at the self-actualization level that so many people are not there yet, because the basics are not even covered yet. All right, that's kind of a sad conversation, but at the same time very encouraging too, because it gives me a little bit of an answer, and it also gives me a little bit of responsibility. Not everybody feels responsible, and that's fine, to each its own. But I also feel responsible that wherever I go, I have my contribution to make. I have an impact to make. And in order to limit and counter migrations, for like desperate migration, there needs to be a change in those countries. There needs to be a change in our home countries. And so by going there, I believe it's a way to participate in the change, whether it's by creating jobs, opportunities, training, whatever it is. I personally feel like there's a contribution to be made. All right, What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Again, this was different, but I just felt like I needed to share that. It was in my heart and I wanted to share. Alrighty, I will be talking to you guys soon. Again, any questions you have, let me know in the comments. Send me a message on IG if you want to talk more about that. And I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.